NERDSoul.
So I want to throw it over to Ninja real quick because I brought up something from the 90s. And I know Ninja, she was in them streets for years. Ninja, if you will, could you throw me another anime that's in the 90s era, you know what I'm saying, that you recommend, that that might be dope, that I overlooked, you know what I'm saying? Throw me a recommendation, because I know, you be coming with that dark stuff. Saying you know what I'm saying? I liked another, and you know what I'm saying? I want some more recommendations. I want to see what's going on in the anime streets, and expand my horizon.
Pick older or dark.
Old and dark.
Old and dark. Old and dark. I mean, well, they're 90s.
It sounds like
dark time in general. Yeah, 90s was.
It sounds like it should come from an old, dark, ancient tone.
There were dark times. There were the best of times and the worst of times.
I mean, it's not. I actually think it might be early 2000s, so let me check. So I could be messing up the parameters here a little bit.
All right, but we'll let
2003, 2003, close.
Right.
It's pretty close. There was a show. It's not hugely dark, but it's still really good. There was a show that was on Toonami, that I feel like didn't. There's a few shows on Toonami that I didn't really feel like got their shine, because people too busy watching the big ones. But there was a show called Wolf's Rain.
Oh, okay.
That you guys may or may not be familiar with. It's produced
I remember like the imagery and the posters for it, but I never watched it.
I never
Mike,
watched
I was about to say, I remember seeing it in the back of comic book ads. The back of comic books as ads.
I'll say this. I watched hours of it and I still don't know what the hell happened because of the two. Yeah, it was like, this looks important. This looks dope. But who are these people? And they turned into, you cut away, they're a wolf all of a sudden. Or is it an allegory? I didn't know if it was an allegory.
They're actual wolves, and they're like near extinction. And this is like a post-apocalyptic like dystopian dark fantasy situation, and so they're near extinction. They're just trying to make it. Their little pack is just trying to make
some money to feed their daughter.
So they can find what they're trying to find what they would call paradise, but they're always kind of on the run. It was the first anime that made me shed one single thug tear.
Oh,
at the end when I was a kid.
Dang.
Yeah, but it's dark, like literally dark, like the colors and stuff, because it's staining. So it stuck out to me watching on Toonami because it wasn't necessarily the same as all the other shows that were airing at the time.
Can I say something? And maybe I need to ask you this, because I do mention about the Toonami glow up or the time frame, because I guess I was grown out the streets when you were watching it doing stuff. But when I watch it, I'm either coming in from something or it's like 1 or 2 in the morning. Is it better because it's late, or would it have the same effect, you think, in an earlier time frame? Now
it had one of those. The reason why it had one of the awkward time slots because they weren't sure how it would do. Because back then in the late 90s, early 2000s, anime was catching on the sense that there's a Western interest, but they didn't know how Japanese or how anime they could get. Like you could kind of Westernize Trigun and Cowboy Bebop and some of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Or
could they Westerns? Could they Westerns?
Yeah, it could be something that just was generally appealing, like Dragon Ball or something where it's like, oh, it's fighting. We know it. So this one having a little bit more story to it, a little bit more darker. Like they knew it would had the potential to be popular. It was produced by Bones, and Bones was like almost everything of Bones was putting out back in the day kind of did well. So they just I'm assuming they just like, well, it's worth the investment. But it always had an awkward. You're right. It always had an awkward time slot. Like it was always people had already dozed off, or maybe they were waking up a little bit, or maybe older people
it's in between you were from coming in the club or going to the club, or
there are several.
and you just sit there. It's like, oh,
there are several shows like that aired on Toonami that I loved a lot that people are like didn't know was a thing. Like Eureka 7 is still one of my favorite anime of all time.
You know what?
It aired on Toonami constantly, and people didn't know what it was.
Thank you for mentioning Eureka 7. In fact, I want to say this: Alok Camp, if you watch it, listening, put Eureka 7 and Wolf's Rain on there. I need to rewatch those. And do those justice, especially Eureka 7, because I'm a mecha fan. It's another one I watch hours of. I feel like I've watched the same episode a few times. I've seen hours of the show, but I still don't know what the hell is going on. But it's like, I like this.
You talking about Eureka 7?
Yes, I don't know what the hell.
Eureka 7 was such a interesting hybrid for me because it's a mech anime, but they're like surfing.
Yes.
So they like surf on the trap bars, they call it the waves, they call it all this stuff. And the actual characters are kind of like they're like offbeat. Like they're like some are stoners, some are just like young kids, they're vagabonds, they're misfits. It's the first time I saw a black male and a black female character have romance in anime. So that was interesting. That was really cool to see too.
I need to check this out.
And they were designed well. Everybody was designed. In fact, wasn't it designed? There's no manga for it. It was made originally for TV.
I think it was anime only, and if I had to look it up, I think it was Bones as well. I could be wrong.
Man, Bones out here doing it.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it was Bones. Eureka 7 or Eureka 7. It was Bones.
Bones.
I watched it.
Y'all gotta make sure y'all drop that in the chat, man.
Yeah,
it's 50 episodes long, and that's
hallelujah. Thank God.
Absolutely, do not watch the sequel that came out about 10 years ago. Do not watch it. It's not a thing. Don't do it. But the show itself is beautiful. It looks stunning. It's got a lot of heart. If you do want to watch the English version, the English is dubbed very well. It's got Johnny on Bosch. It's got a good stack of characters voicing. But it's the emotion and stuff of this kid who is still even though he's kind of like he's like a predecessor to like Tanjiro, I think, without the killing. Like he still shows his emotions and stuff like that, but he's naive, but they like show him to be that naive. It's not like rose-colored glasses. He's just an optimistic kid trying to do his best.
Surfing with his grandpa. I think I remember that.
I just remember seeing it because I have the music of it, and I actually play the music from the show in the whip. So it's like
it's such a good soundtrack.
It does have some good the parts when they were flying.
Being fun, but one I was like, I don't fully get what's going on. Like or maybe not that I don't fully get. I was just like, I don't really care what's going on, and I felt like we weren't getting. Maybe it's me because of course I want my action, but I was like, I don't feel like I'm getting all the mech that I want to get in this. But we did have a brother and a sister in there. We had hashtag Black Love, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, maybe I'm not getting as much mech as I want.
But at that time,
but I did think it looked cool.
This is when I was actually talking about this with Mark maybe last night. We was just talking about how mech is, if it's not the grandfather of anime, it's like one of the grandfathers and created other subgenres of anime. But like at that time, mech, like we was laughing like how mech is kind of seen as your grandpa's anime by some people now. That's kind of the joke. But you got to still put respect on mech name. But they was kind of changing mech to be a little bit more smart, sexy, or something different, like where it ain't just the mech is the thing, but the personalities had to matter. The mech is just the tool.
Yeah, because I mean, like,
but the personalities had to sell it.
Out of style. You know what I'm saying?
Can I please mention a very obscure mech anime also from Toonami in the early 2000s that are mech doing mecha things that are not necessarily fighting, but I loved it when I was a kid, and that show would be IGPX.
Oh.
And I will stand by it to this day.
It's
the International Grand Prix or whatever I think is what it stood for. So IGPX, dare I say, I was also Bones. I think it was Bones as well. Check me on that. I think it was Bones as well. But the thing about IGPX that was unique is that it was like as we talked about just a few minutes ago, how like anime at that time was starting to get more popular, so they took more risks. It was like the first anime that I think Toonami had a hand.
I've never seen this or heard of this.
I know exactly what she's talking about.
It had a hand in producing it, so it was like it was an all-star cast. It was Haley Joel Osment, it was Michelle Rodriguez, like all these like actual like
Production IG did this one.
Cartoon Network, Toonami, they put a lot of money behind. Like they really wanted you to know about this. Like you.
But anyway, it was the show was like roller derby, race car, but mech. Like they're like fist fighting, but like racing. And I remember that, like, because I'm not a huge mech person. I watch some mech shows, but I remember being like, oh, they're not fighting, they're like racing. And so it had like this like smack talk about it because they were like had that like super upper echelon rich racer mentality, but then there was also like the kid from like the streets who was also just really good at racing, like and everybody was like from a different country because it's international Grand Prix, so you saw like French people and all this stuff. So it was pretty beautiful for back in the day,
like G Gundam without the fight.
Sure, because I haven't seen G Gundam, so sure.
Whatever. Hey,
sure,
man.
I'll go with it.
I'm just saying, you know, just for those who need a reference.
And Gundam, like, wow, this is interesting because I don't think I've never seen this. IGPX, I've never seen it, so I'm gonna have to peep this out. I've never seen this, never even heard of this.
They did good with the special effects and the 3D ahead of its time. It was very good looking at the time. I think it got a little stale after a moment because just I don't know. I guess it just didn't hold my attention, but it's like it captures your visual. And, you know, they always were talking smack during a race. I'd be like, can y'all just race? Like, can y'all just do it in this? I don't know. They be in the mech. They were like Iron Man in the suit before Iron Man.
I love that about like older anime, like when they just are just talking the most outlandish smack, like just so campy and flamboyantly, just like this is why you'll never amount to nothing because you'll lose this one race and your whole life will be over.
You'll be
like,
dead.
Why is it going to be all of that? But,
we'll send you back to the streets.
Actually, I think it was one of those. So Toonami had a period of time where it aired before Adult Swim. It was kind of like a block, and I think they kept switching it back and forth between if they wanted it on the later night block or if they wanted it on that Saturday like 8 p.m. block or whatever. So it kind of moved around, I think. And I think that's why a lot of people lost interest or didn't see it or anything because they didn't know if they wanted to put it with the young adult or the adult content.
It was a weird mix. I think it probably would have been. I don't know where it fit. I don't think it quite fit in late night, but it definitely skewed like towards young teen, but it wasn't exactly super kiddie friendly. I think.
If Adult Swim started at what, like 11 o'clock, it could have had like the 10:30 slot, and I think it would have been okay. But you know,
well, I definitely got to go back and catch me some Eureka 7. And one day when I really want to dark and depress myself, I'm gonna watch some Neon Evangelion. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Rewatch.
That's Neon is one that I have never finished. It's on Netflix. I'm like, I don't know, like 8 episodes in or whatever, but
I know what
they redid the dub on Netflix. And it's, I can't remember if it's most of the same voice actors and stuff, but it is a little different than like if you watch it from like the original in English. I'm talking about English specifically here. But it still holds up good enough. Like they cleaned up a lot of stuff, but it's not like in a weird Dragon Ball way. But
with characters I just don't like. I like the show, but I hate everybody for some reason.
I hate everybody.
Like it's great, but like
I like the adults. I like the adults, and I like Asuka. That's it. But Shinji kind of set the prototype for wimpy protagonist that you cannot root for sure. He is infuriating of a character.
I'm agreeing with Ninja. This is the Venn diagram of where we collide and agree. Like Shinji just make me sick. Come on, man. Like I know you don't want to get in the damn robot, iconic line, but you need to get in the damn robot.
Yeah, you need to get in that robot, yo. You got things to do.
The life
Like,
is reality is breaking, son.